assure everyone here that one of the things that I'm trying to listen to we have all these businesses in our community who are not involved in school district. I don't blame them. I don't blame anyone. Is you have to reach out. If you don't ask, people don't do. So you can be sure that we'll be working with our community. We're going to collaborate because it's still phases.
This is 230913GC. This is Aaron Builders versus Helen Costas. May I have your appearances, please?
Morning, Your Honor. Scott Ossenmacher on behalf of Aaron Builders.
John Vanchik on behalf of defendant Helen Costas, Your Honor, who's also here.
Thank you. Today is the day and time set for the pretrial in this matter. How are we proceeding this morning?
Your Honor, we've had some settlement negotiations, which I believe are trending in the right direction. I think if the court be willing to give us a little more time, hopefully we can get this wrapped up without any further hearings.
What's a little more time, sir?
3 to 4 weeks, I believe, would be sufficient for us to get it resolved and submit the necessary orders.
The necessary orders, do you already have a?
To submit a dismissal and have the release signed.
We don't have a settlement as of yet, Your Honor, but we have made offers back and forth, hopefully to resolve it.
Thank you. The next civil docket is September 5th. Will that give you sufficient time, or do you want to look at October 3rd?
The 5th, right after Labor Day.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, if we could get the 3rd, I think that would be great.
Yeah. I agree with that, Your Honor.
well, there's already been a 60-day period of discovery. I'm reluctant to go that far out, but if you believe that you'll have it resolved before then, it's just a matter of paperwork. Let's call the October date the final pretrial motion date.
Okay.
And we'll say October 3rd at 9 a.m. back here on Zoom in number 1. Of course, if you resolve it before then, are able to reduce that resolution to writing, just submit it by my file. And we don't need to reappear on the 3rd. Is there anything else on behalf of the plaintiff?
And nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything else on behalf of the defendant?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. The civil department will get the notices out in the mail, and unless we receive paperwork in the interim, I'll see you on October 3rd. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you,
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Good morning, Ms. Rich.
Good morning, Miss Judge Martin.
How are you today, ma'am?
Pretty good.
We are waiting for Ms. Westlake for Hunter
Yes.
Financial. We're scheduled at 9:15, so you're a little early, but if she pops on, I'll get the case called.
Okay. Yeah, my paper says to start it, to join in at 15 minutes early. So,
That just allows people to work out any technology issues they might be having.
yeah, and last time I had major problems. Gotta love technology, right?
But you figured it out since that last time.
I hope so. Am I the only case you have today?
No, ma'am. They're
Oh.
just spread out a little bit more than last time. So they're every 15 minutes or so, just to give people a little bit more time to talk through their matters.
Oh, okay.
You're already the second case of the day, so.
Oh, wow. You went through the first one quick then. That's good.
No, that was their second appearance, so they had already had an opportunity to speak and they just needed a little bit more time to resolve things.
Oh, yeah. You know, last time, when we talked, she was supposed to get a hold of me and never did.
Ms. Rich, we can't discuss the matter just yet. You and I alone can't discuss it. So when
Oh.
Ms. Westlake or the representative from her office appears, we can cover that, okay?
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Yep.
I am stepping away, but I'm not going far. I'll keep an eye out for the attorney for Hunter Financial.
Good. I mean, you guys have been taking it out of my bank account.
Ms. Rich?
I cannot settle it right now. I'm waiting for State Farm to give me the rest of my money that they owe me still.
Ms. Rich?
If they ever.
Ms.
give me
Rich?
all the money they owe me, which is quite a bit of money, I'd be able to get you.
Ms.
guys-
Rich?
But as of right now, I'm just kind of stuck.
Ms. Rich, your conversation is being heard.
Yeah, yeah, we got that. Okay. Oh, my nose is running. No.
Ms. Rich, I went to check on some in-person things and I could hear part of your conversation, so I'm glad you muted yourself. When I came back, you had already done it, so
Yeah,
thank you.
that was, yeah, Miss Westlake called me.
This is 230714 GC Hunter Financial versus Leslie Rich. May I have your appearances, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Nicole Westlake appearing on behalf of the plaintiff, Hunter Financial.
Good morning, Your Honor. It's Leslie Rich.
Thank you. Today is the day and time set for the second pretrial in this matter. Ms. Westlake, how are we proceeding this morning?
Your Honor, we were going to ask for an adjournment of the pretrial so I could talk to her debt consolidation company, which is Beyond Finance. And we had discussed that this morning, me and Leslie, and we had an agreement, and we're going to see if that would be okay with the court.
Absolutely. If that helps you move towards the
Yeah.
resolution of the matter, the court, of course, wants to support that effort. The question, Ms. Westlake, is this court does civil typically on the first Tuesday of the month. So
Mhm.
we're looking at an adjourn date of either September 5th or October 3rd. Do either of you have a preference?
I'd prefer October 3rd. Leslie, is that okay with you?
Yep, that works for me.
Ms. Rich, do you have any time constraints on that day? Is the morning any better than the afternoon?
The morning is better for me, Your Honor, because I have my disabled son. I have to take the physical therapy as well.
That's completely
Understood.
fine.
So, Ms. Rich, what we'll do is we will call that date, the October 3rd date, a final pretrial. That's just so we can, on that date, if you don't have an agreement on how this matter is being resolved, we'll schedule it for trial. We don't want to keep kicking the can down the road. So
Right.
that final pretrial / motion date, if either party has a motion that they want to file and be heard on that, that will be the date. October 3rd at 9:15, back on Zoom, back with me. And in the meantime, in the interim, Ms. Rich, if there's an agreement that you reach with Ms. Westlake's office, you'll reduce it to writing and her office will file it electronically with the court, and we do not need to appear on the 3rd. So
Okay.
if you reach an agreement, the attorney knows how to get it off of the docket for October 3rd. Other than that, I'll see you on the 3rd.
Yes. Thank you, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Any questions, Ms. Rich?
What exactly is it that if we reach the agreement before the 3rd, I'm supposed to write who a letter? You?
No, no,
No, I will,
no,
go ahead, Your Honor.
no, ma'am, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I will prepare an agreement and then you will sign it and then I will e-file it with the court. And then the court will send it back and then that date will be taken off of her docket. And that's the only way it's gonna get taken out.
Okay. I was confused for a minute there. I'm like, wait,
Okay,
what am I supposed to do?
Don't worry
I'm
about it. We'll
sorry,
figure
Ms.
it out.
Rich. But what happens is sometimes people reach settlements, they sign it, send it in. But if you're not represented, you might not understand that that means that you don't have to come back. So if you sign something, the attorney's office will send it over. I'll sign it and a copy will be mailed to you. And if you don't see something like that happen between now and October 3rd, you need to log on October 3rd. And the court staff will mail you notice to come back on October 3rd at 9:15 by Zoom again, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else, Ms. Westlake?
No, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Anything else, Ms. Rich?
No, thank you.
Thank you. You both have a wonderful afternoon.
You too, Judge.
Thank you.
you will need. Okay. She'll come out and say I did it back.
Thank you, ma'am. Nope, stay seated. It's fine. Sorry, Ken. Are you on? Oh, thank you. This is 932901 SC. This is Deborah Whitaker versus Stanley Steamer. Could you state your names for the record, please?
Deborah Whitaker.
Joe Turner.
Joe
Turner.
Turn. And Mr. Turner, what's your relationship to this matter, sir?
I'm the general manager for Stanley Steamer, Southeast
Thank-
Michigan.
Thank you. Ms. Whitaker, you filed the small claims affidavit and claim in this matter?
Yes, I did.
And ma'am, you understand that by proceeding this morning, that you waive your right to recover more than $6,500.
Yes,
And ma'am, that you also waive the right to have an attorney represent you in this matter.
yes,
You waive your right to a jury trial.
yes,
And you waive your right to appeal any decision made by the court this morning.
yes,
And knowing that you still wish to proceed.
yes, I do.
Mr. Turner, you understand that by proceeding this morning, you waive your right to have an attorney represent Stanley Steamer.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you waive your right to have a jury trial in this matter.
Yes.
And you waive your right to appeal any decision made by the court this morning.
Yes, Your Honor,
And knowing that you still wish to proceed this morning.
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Whitaker, do you have all necessary documents and witnesses to conduct the trial this morning?
I have some documents to show what the company did to my carpeting.
You have everything you need to have the trial this morning?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Turner, you have all witnesses and documents you need to have the trial this morning?
Yes, Your Honor.
And ma'am, you're ready to proceed?
Okay.
That's a question. Are you ready to
Yes,
proceed?
I am, ma'am.
Sir, are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
Ma'am, before you begin presenting your case, raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please proceed with your claim.
Okay, I had Stanley Steamer come out to clean my carpeting. I got the date here. Do you need the date?
Absolutely.
Okay. See, it was 8/22/22. And anyways, to make a long story short, my husband and me are the only ones that live in my home. My carpet was clean. It was dusty. We live on a dirt road. And anyways, I had them come in to clean it, and I don't know what happened with their machine, but it looked like it put rust you know how somebody will take a wand and go so far? Well, they did, and they kept putting rust marks throughout my carpeting, and I had light silver carpeting. And I mean, they just made a mess of it. I couldn't believe it. And it was Berber carpeting, and it was expensive. So I said to my husband, I goes, look what they did to our carpeting, you know? He says, well, he says, you're gonna have to see if they can, you know, clean it again. Well, I let the guys come out 3 times to clean this carpeting, trying to let them, you know, fix what they had damaged. And so after that, I says, hey, I says, you're not getting this out. I says, I think you should buy me some more carpeting. And I mean, they acted like, hey, we'll give you your $126 back for cleaning it, which it wasn't cleaned. So I says, no, I'm not accepting that. I said, you wrecked my carpeting. And so after that, you know, I come here and file papers for court. We go back and forth to Florida. So that's why it's a year later. And I just feel that they owe me for a room of carpeting for my Florida room, because they did wreck it. And I've got a paper right here that shows what the carpeting looked like and what it looked like when they got finished with it. So it isn't very good what they did to it.
Anything that you want to be considered in making the determination this morning needs to be first shown to Mr. Turn, and then Officer Brooks will bring it up to me, okay?
That's probably basically all. That just shows, and I got the check where they had sent me $126 back. And I never did cash the check. I do have it right here, even to this day.
They offered you, Stanley Steamer sent you $120 to reimburse you for what?
$126 to reimburse me back for my cleaning of my carpeting, which they didn't clean. And they wrecked my carpet to top it off. So, I mean, to me, that is ridiculous. I mean, I've had Stanley Steamer out there for years. They could look back on my record. They never did nothing like this.
Ms. Whitaker, how old is the carpet?
It was probably 4 or 5 years old, possibly. But I mean, with us going back and forth to Florida, it had no use even to it. I mean, 6 months lucky, you know, if it had use. And it was like a brand new carpeting. I mean, you know, there wasn't marks on it or nothing. And that boy that come out there to do my carpeting, he'd have had to say there was no marks on it, except for the dust. Like I say, we live on a dirt road. We have door walls all around our Florida room, which is glass. And I mean, to me, I was just freshening it up, you know, for when we left. And it just didn't work out right anyway. And I was just sick. I got it cleaned.
Ms. Whitaker, your affidavit and claim requests $1,363. How do you arrive at that request?
Well, it was supposed to be, I thought, 2,000. I'm not sure. But I thought that's what it was supposed to be that I claimed. Because my carpeting alone was $1,363. And by it being that, and then I had to also pay court costs of $74. And I also had to pay, the installation, and that was 400 and something that I paid for installation of the new carpeting.
Okay,
So, but I have all the receipts here, what I paid and everything. And then I had to end up buying cheaper carpeting because of the simple fact I couldn't get the Berber no more that I had. It was discontinued. So, but I did pay $1,363 originally.
so the replacement carpet was the $752.40 from Menards,
Yes,
and then installation of $485.
485, I believe it was.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then, like I say, I ended up paying Stanley Steamer for to clean it, so I think they owe me that back, which they did send me a check, but I didn't cash it because I wasn't satisfied with the work they did. And then my court costs, like I say, for $74 I put out, and I believe they owe me that because they did wreck that carpeting, and I mean badly, and with us having no kids, you'd have to know that, hey, we didn't damage our room of carpeting.
Anything else, Ms. Whitaker?
No, that should be all.
Mr. Turner, do you have any questions of Ms. Whitaker? Not testimony or defense to the claim, but any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Whitaker, any other witness to this case or any other evidence you wish to present this morning?
No, nothing else. That's pretty much everything that I have. And
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Would you spell your full name for the record, please?
JOSEPHTURNER.
Turner.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And sir, your defense to the small claims affidavit.
One correction, the initial cleaning we did was on 8/16 of 22 for Ms. Whitaker. Our standard procedure at Stanley Steamer is there are occasionally issues. A customer is for any reason, able to call back within 10 days. We'll come back out at no charge to touch up any areas that might be of concern. On 8/22 is when we sent an additional technician out to her home to correct issues. This goes through our contact center, so we're not really too involved in what exactly is going on with her, with whatever the issue is. At that point, she had called in to put in a concern saying that her carpet had issues. On 8/25, a manager visit with one of my supervisors was scheduled. She had canceled that before we were able to send the manager out to look at the carpet to see what exactly the issue is, to see if it could be corrected. Now, according to the photos that I have, Ms. Whitaker had new carpet installed on 8/29/22, 4 days later after our manager visit was scheduled. We didn't have ample time to even look at the flooring while it was in to see if there was an actual issue that could be corrected. At that point, I got involved after my supervisor was not able to go out. I went out, which they did have scraps, which she did provide photos of. And at some point in between then, my supervisor did issue a check for the refund of her cleaning for the issues that occurred. And we had tried to come to some sort of conclusion because there wasn't an issue that we were able to see when it was in the home because they got it changed out so quickly. So on 9/7, a check was issued to her and it was never cashed. And on 2/16, our accounting department sent an unclaimed funds letter to her. And we had never heard anything from her after my visit. I believe my visit was on 9/3 to her home. We never heard anything else from the plaintiff. Typically, if something like this happens, a manager would go out, we would look at the flooring, we would try and correct it, or if we need to get a certified carpet inspector involved to see what exactly the issue is, we'll do that. And we simply just send it into our insurance company and get the carpet replaced. It's a rare occurrence, but what her carpet is, it's referred to as a Berber carpet. It's a loop carpet. It was olefin. It's a very oil-based carpet. So sometimes if it's wet for too long, it can produce a little bit of like oranging, which is just simply the oil, the petroleum product coming to the surface. Another cleaning just would remove that typically. But again, we didn't have an opportunity. We cleaned it twice, not 3 times. Once with the technician and then once again with the courtesy, and then a manager was going to try and correct it. And by that point, she had canceled our visit and ordered a new carpet 3 days later.
Anything else, Mr. Turner?
No, I believe that's it.
Were there any notes from the technician from the 822 cleaning regarding what it looked like when they arrived and what it looked like when they were done?
No, ma'am. No, they
Just the
typically-
fact that they went out there and.
Yeah, they typically don't take notes on what it looked like. At that point in time, we didn't, our policy has changed. We do take pictures before and after now. That's recent, but we did not at that time, no.
Thank you. Ms. Whitaker, do you have any questions for Mr. Turner? Not additional testimony, but specific questions for him.
Yes, he said that I didn't let them come out 3 times. I did. I let them clean it, then I let them come out 2 other times trying to
Ma'am?
get those stains.
Question.
What?
Do you have a question
Oh,
for him?
question. No, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Turner?
My records indicate we were out on 822 and 825.
825 was canceled.
I'm sorry, yeah, 825 was canceled. We were out on 816 and 822 to clean. The 825 visit was canceled. And then I went out on 8/3 or 9/3.
9/3.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Whitaker, now, if there's anything else you want to say, this is your last opportunity to present any testimony or any documentation.
Well, ma'am, all I can say is I don't remember canceling it on the 25th, you said, or whatever. And I didn't just go out and buy carpeting the way he said. I let that representative of his even come out to the house. And that's what I'm saying. I was trying to show him, hey, I am going to let you take time to try to clean this mess up that you left me. And I think I was more than fair with the company. And like I say, I've used the company for some years. But this time right here, they really messed my carpeting up. And why should I have to stay with this? I had friends coming over and everything else. I should have to be able to replace my carpeting when they leave my house such a mess.
Ms. Whitaker, after the first cleaning on the 16th and after the second cleaning on the 22nd, was there any improvement in what it was that you were complaining about?
No, as a matter of fact, it looked worse when they were doing it because evidently it must have got down into my padding or something like that. But it brought it up more on the carpeting where you could see it darker in these pictures. And I was trying to work with them. But hey, they didn't work with me. They sent me that check for $126. My money back to me, that's showing me right there that they were saying they were guilty of what they did. Because what would they send me a check back for if they did such a good job?
Anything else, ma'am?
No.
Thank you, sir. The court has had the opportunity to listen to the testimony of the parties this morning, review the picture that was presented to the court, as well as the documents that were attached to the affidavit and claim, and the court will find in favor of the defendant in this case. Ma'am, Ms. Whitaker, there will not be a recovery on your behalf. It is the court's finding that by depriving the defendant of an opportunity to inspect and cure the issues that are alleged and the speedy removal and replacement of the carpet, the court has some concerns about the state of affairs at the time that the second cleaning happened on the 22nd and the time between that time and the time the representative came out on September the 3rd. What the court would suggest is that Stanley Steamer reissue the refund of the $126 if that check is already stale at this point. Anything else, Ms. Whitaker?
Yes, like I say, Your Honor, to me, I'm paying for this room of carpeting that they damaged, and I do not think that is right. They wrecked my carpet, and I had very, very nice carpet. I mean, you've never been to my house, but I mean, I keep my stuff really clean. And then I had to keep something like this that they had damaged. And I say that's wrong. You don't do business like that, wrecking people's stuff and then say, I'm gonna give you $126 back for your cleaning when they wrecked my carpet over their cleaning. There was not a mark in that carpeting, not a mark. And it was a light silver carpeting.
Ms. Whitaker, I understand and respect your opinion on the matter, but the court can only rule on what's in front of it. And when the pictures are, those copies there, and there's a testimony that they came out on the 16th for the first time, and by the 29th, you had the carpet replaced, the defendant does have an opportunity, should have an opportunity to come and cure, which means to come and clean. And you say that it was worse, but there's no pictures, there are no notes that it was worse. And the defendant's testimony was that they wanted to work to remediate. So the court
Can
has
I
made
show
its,
you this?
the court has
I
made
showed
its ruling, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Anything else, Mr. Turner?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. That concludes this matter. The civil department will mail a copy of the findings to the parties at the addresses that are on record with the court.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Will I get my court costs back and stuff like that?
No, ma'am. You recover court costs if you're the prevailing party.
Okay.
For the record, we will reissue that check.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Thank you, sir. Ten o'clock. We've been talking about it since March of last year, so I'm not going to. Did you find out what you know? Oh, have them come in, we're ready. Heather said. It's not, because we've had the conversation as recently as when we had the original ordinance docket. Sheffield? This is 232706 SC. This is Deidre Sheffield versus Genesis Credit Union. Ma'am, would you state your name for the record, please?
Deidre Sheffield.
And sir, your name?
My name is Brian, B-R-I-A-N, Dogallo, D-O-W-G-I-A-L-L-O, and I'm the Vice President of Risk Management at Genesis Credit Union.
I'm sorry, Dillo?
Dogallo.
Dogallo. I missed the first few letters. Thank you, sir. And sir, you have knowledge of the transaction that's alleged in the affidavit and claim?
Yes, and I do have two branch staff members that are here.
Thank you. You may both be seated. Ms. Sheffield, this is your small claims affidavit and claim. Do you understand that by appearing this morning, you give your right to recover more than $6,500? That's the limit for small claims.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
And you understand that you waive the right to have an attorney represent you in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor.
You waive your right to have a jury trial?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you waive your right to be able to appeal any decision made by this court?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you have all necessary documents and witnesses to proceed this morning?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And sir, you're authorized by Genesis Credit Union to represent their interests this morning?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you understand that by proceeding this morning, you give up a right to have an attorney represent the credit union.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you give up your right to have a jury trial.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you give up your right to appeal any decision made by the court this morning.
Yes, Your Honor.
And knowing that, you still wish to proceed.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have all necessary documents and witnesses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Sheffield, raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Thank
Your
you.
Honor.
You may put your hand down. It's your claim. Please present it.
Okay, I went into the credit union, I believe it was around April 15th.
Ma'am, you have to raise your voice, please. She's recording and she's just not picking you up.
Okay. I went into the credit union around April 15th and I went in to get money orders. So I had $1,000 in tens, $1,000 in 20s, and I needed $180 money order, and then I needed to pay $500 on a rental car. So that's the amount that I brought in. It was, the $2,000 were brand new bills, and I asked the teller
I'm sorry, the $2,000 were,
in tens and 20s.
I thought you said brand new bills?
Yes, they were
Okay.
brand new bills. And I asked that the teller would hand count them because they were new bills and they were damp. Because I had wet my hands to count them at home before I arrived to the credit union. And she said it'll be okay. So she put the money into the counter. And I believe they got stuck a couple times. And it came out to $1,700 when she told me, after it was counted by her. And I said, well, I asked you to hand count it because they were new bills and they were down. And she said, well, it came back 1,700, which was incorrect. So that was where the dispute came in. And I do know banks can make mistakes, and that was the mistake that was made. I was cheated out of $1,000.
Anything else, ma'am?
Well, okay, after the money was miscounted, I also told the teller, I said, because I was still okay, I was still calm. And I said, well, I have another run to make at another bank downtown Belleville. I had another bill to pay. So I went down there, I paid the bill, came back, and I was told that they had opened this machine and recounted, and they still were coming up with 1,700, and I'm like, that's impossible. So I said, well, I'm not leaving without my money. And I think it was the manager told me that she was gonna call the police, and they did call the police. So the police came in, and I was treated unfairly. They laughed about it, and it was like a game to them.
They who?
The police officer, it was two police officers. One of the police officers told me to sit down and shut up. And they laughed like it was a joke, and I ended up really breaking down in the bank over this because I was upset. So that's pretty much what happened. And they did ask me, I was calling all different kinds of people. I don't even know who these people were, but maybe corporate or something. And it was like I was fighting against authority that I had no control over. So this was the next step, small claims court, and this is how I end up here.
Ms. Sheffield, do you have anything you want to present to the court? Any proof of where these funds came from? Any documentation, any letters that you want to be considered this morning?
all I have is the story that what actually happened. My son called me and he was in dire need. He said his lights had got shut off. So I charged $1,600 for his light bills to come back on. And I did it with the credit card. So he said, I'll bring the money to you Friday. So that's where the new bills came from, the 1,600. And my bill that I was supposed to pay was actually 2,000. So that's where the 2,000 came in. And I added the other 400 to the 16 that he gave me. So that's where that came from. And then the $500 was for a car payment, a rental car. And then the 180 was another bill that the money order that I was trying to get that day.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you. Sir, do you have any questions for her? Not testimony, but questions regarding her testimony.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Would you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Sheffield did come into the branch on April 15th, and she was assisted by our teller, Sherry Danowski, who's been there for 17 years. She is here and will testify this morning. Ms. Sheffield was fumbling through her purse and was pulling out various bills that needed to be counted. So in the course of normal action, our teller took that money and put it through the cash machine when she was completed with all the money that she needed to take from her purse. The machine read 1780. At that point, Ms. Sheffield indicated that she was $900 short of what she believed that she brought in. We immediately stopped using the cash machine, and we determined that we needed to audit that machine to make sure that it would balance out. We did indicate to Ms. Sheffield that it would take about 20 minutes to do so. So Ms. Sheffield did leave the branch and we audited the machine. So for the court, I'm going to present Exhibit 1, which is the receipt showing the 1780 that was deposited by Ms. Sheffield. And then also Exhibit 2 is going to be the cash dispensing machine transactional history for that day, showing what was taken out from that machine, including her transaction. We did audit the machine, and the machine audited out correctly, which means that she was not shorted that amount of money that morning. So when Ms. Sheffield came back to the branch, we indicated that the machine had balanced correctly and that we had given her the correct amount of funds. Ms. Sheffield then became irate, and we tried to bring her in to speak to our assistant manager, who is here to testify this morning.
When you say we, who are you referring to? We tried to bring her in.
Sorry, Ms. Danowski and also our assistant manager.
Were you present that day?
I was not, no.
Okay.
They were here. So if you'd want me to have them testify to that, we can do that right now if you want.
It's your defense, so
Okay.
if that's how you wish to present it, but any documents that you want the court to consider have to first be shared with Ms. Sheffield.
Sure.
Oh, wonderful.
Correct. I'm going to give a summary of the events and then I'll have them testify to it. So after she was brought into the assistant manager's office, the $900 changed to $1,000. She said that she was short at $1,000 now. She said she would not leave our branch until she got her money. We then asked her to calm down, or we would have the police called to mediate. The police did appear that day and tried to explain to her, and our staff tried to explain to her that the machine balanced correctly. She did leave the branch, but she was unsatisfied with that result. The next Monday, that was on a Saturday, so that Monday morning, Ms. Sheffield spoke to our manager and also to our corporate office. We had a third party also audit the machine, and we have Exhibit 4, which shows that audit, the results saying that it came back, that it audited or balanced correctly. So Ms. Sheffield ended up contacting myself at corporate office a couple of different times. And we also pulled the video footage. We explained to her that if she was short at $1,000 worth of tens, there would have been 100 bills that would have been missing. And we had Ms. Sheffield come in with a third party, come and review that that video footage about a week and a half after this event to show her that she wasn't shorted those funds. Ms. Sheffield also filed a DIFS complaint with the state, which we also responded to, and that is Exhibit 5, showing our response to the state, outlining what we had done throughout this process. So at this point, I would like to have our teller, Sherry Danowski, be sworn in and testify as to what happened on April 15th.
Before she does, is there a copy for the court or something you're passing up? Wonderful, thank you. Before she does, Ms. Sheffield has the opportunity to ask any questions of you. Ms. Sheffield, this is not your testimony, but this is any questions you have regarding his testimony.
Yes, I would like to know, did they bring a copy of the videotape?
We do not have the video with us, no.
Because they made me aware that it was glitches in it. And when I sat there and watched it, it was not right.
We did not, Your Honor, ever say there was a glitch. There was no glitches with the videotape. We showed Ms. Sheffield that video, and she was there with a third party. So there are no glitches in that video.
When the video was shown, it was Ms. Sheffield, her agent, the assistant manager, and whom else?
It was our manager who was.
Manager,
Correct.
okay. And that person's not here today.
No, she's on vacation.
Okay. Any other questions, Ms. Sheffield?
Yes, the third party that they're speaking of was a cousin of mine because I was still nervous. And because they kept continually trying to get me to close my account. And
Ms. Sheffield,
yes,
questions? Do you have any questions for him?
no,
What'll happen is after he presents each witness, you'll have an opportunity to cross-examine. Afterwards, the court will come back to you. If there's anything else you want to say, you have the last word, okay?
yes,
So if there's some other testimony you want, you should make some notes. When the court comes back to you, you'll have the opportunity to do that, okay?
yes, Your Honor.
Any other questions for him?
No,
Your witness, sir. Good afternoon.
Hi.
No, that thing is a little delicate, so no, just the way you're removing it makes me nervous. You may have a seat right where you are. State your first and last name and then spell them both for the record.
Sherry Danowski, Sherry, Danowski, Danowski.
Ms. Danowski, raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Your testimony regarding what happened on April 15th this year.
So it was a Saturday morning. She came into the credit union. It was a very busy Saturday morning. She came up to my window and she did say that she needed to do a couple money orders. We have made her a couple money orders, but the process for us to do that, we have to make the deposit into the account to pull the money orders out. So she was fumbling through her purse, taking money from different parts of her purse. She handed me a little bit at a time, and then she kept getting more out of her purse and handing it to me. And we don't work out of a cash drawer, we work out of a machine. So I took all of her money and I put it into the machine, and the machine counted it. And I deposited it into her account and was showing her the receipt, and she said it was not the correct amount that she gave me. And I then told her I needed to go get an assistant manager. So I went and got him, Becky, which is up here. So her and another lady that works with us, she came over, and I went to another machine and started working at another teller area while those two audited the machine. And while they were auditing the machine, Mrs. Sheffield said that she was gonna leave for a little while to do her other errands that she had to do. And then when she came back, Becky took her in her office and was telling her that they audited the machine and the machine wasn't short. I'm a little nervous.
Don't be nervous. Was there something else?
When she came in back into the branch, she started becoming irate, and she was really loud, and the branch was full of members. And Becky tried to calm her, And then they did have to call the police, and a couple police came to help calm her down. And they took her in our office trying to calm her down.
Anything else? Did something happen when you put the bills in the machine?
No.
Nothing, just regular?
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Sheffield, do you have any questions for Ms. Danowski?
Yes. Did I or did I not ask you to hand count the money?
You did not ask.
I did not.
You did not.
Do you remember me saying the bills were damp?
No, I don't remember that. I do remember feeling that they were damp. And she had some of the bills were newer, but they weren't wet, they were just damp. They were okay to put it in the machine. She did not ask me to count the money. Or if she would have asked, I would have counted it, hand counted it.
Do you have any other questions, Ms. Sheffield?
No, Your Honor.
What would cause you to hand count? Is it only if a guest member specifically asks, or is there something else?
We normally always use the machine, but if if a member asks us to count the money, we would count it.
Anything else, ma'am? Thank you. Your next witness, sir.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Peppin, REBECCA PEPPIN.
Ma'am, raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. May you put your hand down? Your testimony regarding the events of April the 15th.
So I was sitting in my office when Sherry came over and said that she was having an issue with a member. She stated that the member said that we were shorting her $900. I told Sherry we'd go ahead and take the machine down and audit it. If Ms. Sheffield would like to wait a few minutes, she stated she had an errand to run and would be back shortly. So another staff member and I took the machine down. We counted every single bill in that entire machine and it balanced to what it said it should have. When Ms. Sheffield came back, I was still at the front line putting the machine back together. I started explaining to her that the machine was in balance. She started getting loud, saying she was not going to leave until we gave her $900. So I asked her to step into my office. I took her into my office and she just kept saying that she was not leaving until we gave her $900. She wasn't leaving until we gave her $900. Then all of a sudden it changed from $900 to $1,000 that we shorted her. So she was screaming in my office. I ended up asking her to step out of my office because I wasn't going to keep getting screamed at by her. And I ended up calling Brian to ask him what I should do in the situation. So he said that if she refused to leave, that I should call the police for assistance. Let's see. So she was still in the lobby. I asked her to leave again. She refused to leave. So I ended up calling the police. The police ended up showing up and all three of us went to the back corner office, the manager's office. I was trying to get the video to play and unfortunately I could not get the video to play at that time to show the police because I didn't have the proper credentials. The police officer just kept telling Ms. Sheffield that the machine balanced. There was nothing we could do. She was going to have to call corporate on Monday. And she just kept telling the police that she wasn't leaving until she had her $1,000. She kept saying, I'm the victim here. And she was just yelling at the police. She was yelling at me. She was interrupting. The police did tell her to shut up at one time because she kept trying to talk over him and she would not let him speak. The officer was very direct with her, said that, you know, it audited and there was nothing we could do at this point. She just kept saying she knew how much she had because she cashed her checks. When the officer asked her for check stubs, she stated they just go into my Chase account. The officer asked her to give me a corporate phone number, so I went ahead and gave her the corporate phone number, and I also gave her the branch manager's card. She did at one point say that ever since our old credit union Unified merged into Genesis, that our service has gone to crap. And I did let her know if she was that unhappy with our service, it might be best if she closed her account. That is the only time anything was said by us about closing her account. After the police officer finally convinced her to leave, she stated she still needed to get a money order. So I directed her to a different teller because I did not want her to go to Sherry. And she chose to go back to Sherry's window and let Sherry wait on her again. She ended up, as she was at the window, she let out this huge wail, like crying, screaming in the middle of our lobby that made a member jump that was in an office because it scared her so bad. And then she ended up getting her money order and walking out.
Anything else, Ms. Peppin?
No, ma'am.
Before we go back to Ms. Sheffield for any questions, would you turn to Exhibit 3? I'm asking because you signed off on
Yes.
this. Would you explain what this is?
So this shows how many bills of each denomination should be in that machine at the time that that transaction was done. So at that time, it said that this machine should have $69,946. That would include that $1,780 that she gave us. Now, if she really would have given us $2,000, then this machine would not have balanced, and those exact amount of bills would not have been in there. But every bill was accounted for, and every bill that should have been in there was in there.
Would you go to the previous exhibit number 2? On that, at ID number 36364, the second from the bottom, that is Ms. Sheffield's deposit,
Correct,
and that was at 1128.
correct.
And when you ran the audit, it's 1141.
Yes, because there was, the two tellers share the same machine, and the other teller was finishing up a transaction, so we had to wait for her to finish before we could take down the machine.
And when you take down the machine, what exactly specifically do you do from the time of the second teller finishing whatever transaction she was on? How do you in fact conduct the audit?
So we print Exhibit 3, which is telling us exactly what bills should be in the machine. So we print that out, and then we pull out the bills and take them in the back and count them and make sure that they balance to what the machine says it should be.
Count them in a separate machine or hand count them?
In a separate machine, in a cash runner.
Is that this machine that you use for the audit, is it one that the tellers use, or is it specifically for
It's
your purposes?
specifically for auditing bills.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Ms. Sheffield, do you have any questions for Ms. Peppin?
Yes. I'm trying to understand, when you say I was hollering and screaming and acting irate, I raised my voice at you?
You were raising your voice at me, and you were raising the voice of the officers.
I raised my voice at 2 police officers?
At the one, not the other one, only at the one that was in the office. The other one was standing in kind of in the doorway, and you never raised your voice.
And you're telling the honest to God truth?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Ms. Sheffield?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anything else on behalf of Genesis?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Sheffield, any additional testimony in this matter?
No, Your Honor.
The court has had the opportunity to hear from the witnesses this morning, review the exhibits that were presented by Genesis Credit Union, and will find no cause of action in this matter. Ms. Sheffield, there will be no recovery. The court is finding that the documents presented by Genesis Credit Union, the defendant in this case, show that the allegations contained in the affidavit and claim of the small claims matter are not credible. And again, there will be no recovery for the plaintiff. The court will prepare a judgment to that effect and will mail copies to the parties at the address that they have on record with this court. Is there anything else this morning, Ms. Sheffield?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else on behalf of Genesis?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. That concludes this matter. You're free to go. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any chance that the 10:30 is ready? Thanks. When Heather said last March, so March of 22, she talked to Freya, and Freya, I thought, had come up and put it on here. That's why she told you it's somewhere.
She probably thought she could get it.
I guess if you're legit crazy, we don't.
I'll be right back. Wait, I'm gonna head up and look at this, make sure I'm wrong. Everything. Oh, she just went to her office. She went back to her room. She just went across. My hand right here is solid black and blue. All the way down the side is all black and blue. I think this is, I think whacked it on the saddle, I think. This one was from me scratching, this rash went all the way down my leg. So.
But you don't get this rash.
No, it's almost gone now. Mark said, listen, you ain't got a doctor. Look, you listen. I already did came to last night. The tax man just, oh, TMI, what are you telling me? I'm kidding, you knew. These are here. And she said they just talked about it when they did the,
Hey, did you not put, JIS on Marion's computer in the courtroom? If you can, 'cause we can't find it. She should have, okay, thank you, bye.
I don't know where it's at.
Hello there. ¿Cómo está? Oh, bien. I just helped her. He thought that it should be on.
I was telling Michelle, I swear you had him put it on last March of 22, when you said.
I remember asking before about it, that's why I assumed because when she said Mary's in jail, I go, I'm sure she's done it.
Cause I was gonna bring it up.
I specifically remember us having this conversation, because you were looking to do something, you're like, there's no JIS, so call Fred, and Fred came up while you were sitting in that chair.
So where was it? That's probably.
That was.
Is it coming up there? Yeah, it's not racing. Where is Genesis the one over there on?
Replaced Fifth Third, right there next to Walgreens.
Okay.
It was like.
So would it have been Bill Bellwood PD?
Bible Belleville being in.
Oh, no. I was thinking that was over there.
Where is Belleville? Is Belleville just the little main street downtown? Just like.
It's a little bit more east and west, but it's everything south of the bridge. That's not everything, that's where Belleville starts.
Oh, okay.
Everything else is maybe.
That's a blurry.
If it was, I believe it probably went down more like.
Oh, I'm sure.
Not sure. Maybe you could shut up if it was enough.
So
I could see my husband.
Your husband drove by me one day, it was waving like a crazy person, my husband was like.
I swear he's television.
He does.
He just.
He was right at the.
He tries at the state station.
He was right in front of CBS and he was just.
So this is Sean Harmon.
I just talked to your judge about it. The
Oh,
two different
water.
addresses?
Is this note supposed to be to me?
What, no? No, it fell off of something when I was walking up this morning and I saw it when I went to check on the case, and so I picked it up, and it has not made it back to the file. it belongs to. Oh, that's a completely unrelated case. That has nothing to do with
No, I'm
this.
saying the address. There's a problem with the address. There's two, the plaintiff put two different addresses for the defendant. So if she doesn't appear, if she didn't appear in our case, so maybe we have the wrong address.
They have them in Fenton.
On mine.
I don't
it's-
have yours.
Oh, on my case, it's a local address.
Our Romulus address, because they were evicting them from Romulus. They're somewhere else now, so they're using their current address.
Right, on your file, but not on ours.
Correct. But they just moved on July 9th, therefore it should still be in effect. I hate that I say that, I know that.
Right, but because our notice went out, I think like July, later in July.
If you mailed out a notice to the Romulus address at the last week of July, their mail forward will send the Romulus notice to Fenton, is what I'm saying. Our case has always had the correct address.
Right, so she's gonna show up for yours.
Yeah, yes, she should.
But she's still show up for yours, because she lives in Fenton.
No, because she was confused because she had this different time with me on the same day, which, whatever. But it would be forwarded. You don't think it would be forwarded?
I don't know, if she had her mail forwarded, it would be, but if you don't have mail forwarded, no, it's not.
Your husband had a busy weekend.
He has worked so many freaking hours in the last couple of weeks. I said, what happened to you stand back? I haven't seen him. He has worked for quite a while. He's exhausted.
When I get a text from California saying what's going on in your city,
He's
you keep
so
making
tired.
national news.
He actually had that swap call out that they have a swap call out. He slept through the thing. He was just so tired because they had the second homicide and he was stuck working it all night. The one where the guy in the trailer park.
What was the first one?
Trailer, the semi trailer.
Oh.
And then they had this one, so this one, the second one, he was working around the clock. And he was there from like 5 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock in the morning. And then when the Dublin Detective Bureau called him, just asking him what happened to something. He goes, I told that to go everything. Why are you calling me? Just went to sleep. So he shot his silence his phone so they couldn't, and he must have swapped out. He's never done that in 30 years. He's never missed a swap out. But the guy's gonna go rest. See, it shows that you can step down and your people will take over. But now he's not. He's been working around a lot.
That second one,
He's so tired.
I slept in the trailer park. I think it was her first day in the office.
Second day or something.
I thought it said first day.
Poor girl.
The girl pulling weeds and the gal out there shutter.
I'm sorry.
In trailer, yeah. What's that one, last weekend? A week ago. Well, they thought it was. Because Mark, because the detectives didn't know about the family, so Mark and somebody else, or somebody went out to Ipsy to tell the family. Mark said, can I have a name?